And tonight on the Daily Wrap, Donald Trump and Dr. Ben Carson no longer playing nice as they try to win over primary voters. Meanwhile, although Lois Lerner and the IRS were found innocent of any wrongdoing, Washington Times now reporting the tax man is still targeting conservative groups. A new report shows the majority of working Americans earn less than, get this, $30,000 a year. Should we be alarmed? We talk about that. So much more. This is the Daily Wrap live from New York City. And welcome to the show, everybody. I'm Joe Concha, along with Rick Unger, held up the fort while I was predisposed.
Predisposed?
Yes.
Predisposed towards what?
Well, let's change the subject. Dr. Ben Carson, now leading in Iowa, the Hawkeye state. Are you surprised?
Well, I'm not, because according to Donald Trump, this is all the result of a couple of newspapers that don't like him. And that's why Dr. Carson is leading.
So they're actually altering polls.
They're cheating, yes, apparently.
Wow,
that's according to Trump, that's the problem.
Well, let's not cheat our viewers.
Might have a little bit more to do with the advertising being run against him by Club for Progress, though.
I've read the $1 million finally paying off. Interesting. Okay, let's talk more about that with the man to Rick's right. He's the founder and CEO of Change Up Media, LLC. Ben Weingarten is back. And finally, he's an Emmy winner, Forbes.com contributor. Bill Tucker joins us as well. It must be Monday. All right, let's get right to the Daily Download.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Lois Lerner, and I'm the Director of Exempt Organizations at the Internal Revenue Service. I have not done anything wrong. I have not broken any laws. I have not violated any IRS rules or regulations, and I have not provided false information to this or any other congressional committee. And while I would very much like to answer the committee's questions today, I've been advised by my counsel to assert my constitutional right not to testify or answer questions related to the subject matter of this hearing.
And she repeated that about 90 times during said hearing. And that was Ms. Lerner pleading the fifth during a congressional hearing on charges the IRS was targeting conservative groups that applied for tax-exempt status. As we told you on Friday, according to the DOJ, there will be no charges filed against Lois Lerner or anyone else in the Obama administration. Assistant Attorney General Peter Kadzik said in a letter to Congress that the FBI investigation into the matter found, and we quote, substantial evidence of mismanagement, poor judgment, and institutional inertia leading to the belief by many tax-exempt applicants that the IRS targeted them based on their political viewpoints. But poor management is not a crime. We've found no evidence that any IRS official acted based on political, discriminatory, corrupt, or other inappropriate motives that would support a criminal prosecution. However, today the Washington Times reporting that although the DOJ ruled, the IRS is still actively holding up tax-exempt status for conservative nonprofit groups. Meanwhile, several lawsuits are pending against the IRS. One group, Citizen for Self-Governance, are behind a class action lawsuit against said IRS. The group's president is Mark Meckler. He joins us now from California. Welcome, Mark.
Thanks for having me.
So the DOJ missed the boat on this ruling, didn't they?
I mean, they only missed the boat if you believe that they're actually for justice. What they're really for is injustice. They serve the Obama administration. Their goal is to protect administration hackies and lackeys, and that's what they've done here with Lois Lerner. She has a long history, goes way before her time at the IRS. She was with the FEC where she got reprimanded and disciplined for attacking Christian groups. This is just who she is and what she does.
Mark, it's Rick Unger. Listen, I have sympathy for your point of view, because I do think that there was some shenanigans going on here at the IRS. But I am very curious about your lawsuit, which I've gone through. I'm kind of wondering how you plan to make the case that this is a constitutional violation, given that the Constitution doesn't create a right to a 501c3 or C4. And I'm also, I know that you're planning to go through the Privacy Act, which could create a possibility, but it's a little touchy because I don't know that this kind of an organization is defined as an individual for that. So wouldn't you think you'd want to bring a lawsuit to get a court to tell the IRS to speed it up as opposed to going for money damages?
Well, no, because there actually are money damages. There actually are invasions of rights of privacy, and not just of organizations, but of the individuals that are parts of these organizations. Remember that the IRS asked for things like donor lists, Those people have protected rights of privacy. And the constitutional issue here is one of it's a First Amendment issue. We have the right of private political association. The IRS doesn't have the right to ask the kind of questions they did, nor to categorize or target us based on our political orientation. That's what they did in this case. That's what this case is about. And there are money damages that should lie. You have the plaintiff class in this case spent literally collectively probably tens of thousands of hours preparing these documents, unconstitutional requests by the IRS, and it shut down their fundraising, it shut down their ability to do media, and by all accounts, it affected their participation in the 2014 election. So there is a cause of action here. That's why we're pursuing it, and the judge agrees.
Again, I buy your gripe, I do. And again, I've always wondered why these groups didn't bring a suit prior to 2014 to get it sped up. But, you know, when Congress passes a law and Congress puts tests in to qualify, as they do for C3s and C4s, then I don't see how the IRS does not have the right to ask those questions. And you said that a judge has agreed. Tell us more about that. What judge has?
Sure. So this is really important. So really 3 of these cases were filed, 2 in the D.C. federal court and ours in Cincinnati. And in D.C., those cases were thrown out. And Judge DeLotte in our Cincinnati court disagreed. She allowed the case to proceed. We've made it past the motion to dismiss case, or phase of the case. Recently, Judge DeLotte stated in open hearing it was her belief that rights had been violated. She said she's not sure exactly what the remedies are, but it's her belief, the court's belief already, that rights have been violated.
I kind of got to say, you made my point. 2 of them were thrown out, and in the one that she allowed to go forward, which you and I both know means nothing except that she saw enough to go forward, she's saying, and I agree with her, I think maybe rights were violated, but I have the same problem. I don't see where there is a remedy. Maybe you can quickly tell us, why didn't anybody bring these actions, as I think they could have, before the 2014 election?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Look, our group is not normally a funder of third-party litigations. We did it because none of these other groups were doing it. We went to the ACLJ and asked them. We went to Cleta Mitchell, who brought the other suit, and asked them. And what we heard is there was a lot of no action going on. They were inquiring with the IRS, they were pressing the IRS, but there was no litigation being filed. That's why we filed this litigation, and specifically the reason we chose a class action is because there are hundreds of parties that have been hurt there. Many of them will never join as named litigants. We thought it was important to bring all of them into the litigation.
And Mark, it's Joe again. Do you see a pattern here as far as, in Lerner's case, BlackBerry goes missing, server mysteriously crashes, in Hillary Clinton, same thing, only 30,000 emails are turned over, a possible 55 or at least 55,000 pages. Is that the new precedent now, that if you work in government that you could just destroy stuff and then there are no consequences that are behind it?
It is the new precedent. You know, people liken it back to the Nixon era, but Nixon made the mistake of destroying just a couple of sections of tape, where here what they found is if they destroy it all, if they obfuscate and delay and destroy evidence, there are no consequences. This is a really significant problem in America. We're a nation of laws, and right now the citizens believe that the government officials don't believe themselves subject to those laws. It's a fundamental problem in the country.
Well, we'll certainly be following this, Mark, and we appreciate you joining us on the Daily Wrap. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so Mr. Tucker, your thoughts, but first, Mr. Unger.
I just, you know, it's such an interesting area. Listen, I may be a Democrat, but I too believe that there was some bad behavior involved in this. But what was interesting to me is why the Department of Justice didn't go after it. I did a little research. You know, the trick would be political. If they did it for political reasons, it would be criminal. Problem is, they haven't been able to make a case. There was no standing record to do it.
But there does seem to be some consistency here. It's not like they were doing this to liberal groups, whatever that might be.
Well, they did, but not in the same numbers.
Right.
To be sure.
So the consistency of action
but that
really
doesn't rise to the level of
itself
criminal.
to.
But they did.
You can't make the case.
They did filter, though, based upon certain words, which you clearly associate with one party.
You're right, but you could make the argument that those words would indicate that this is an applicant who would be more than likely to break the rules as another. I get your point. I totally see it. But there is a justification, is my point, as to why they wouldn't proceed criminally here.
The sad thing is there's just no recourse for the people who are affected here.
Yeah, at this point there's not.
Bill, last word.
No, I just feel like this were happening to liberal groups, it'd be a much greater outcry.
They'd be screaming,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it would be the same result, I suspect.
So, did the DOJ get this wrong? You can go to newsmaxtv.com/comments. Let your voice be heard. Coming up after the break, some shocking facts on how little Americans are currently earning. You're not going to want to miss this. Great Daily Wrap tonight. Stick around.